Okay, so today we'll take two functions, and I want you to just look at this for a second. F of g of x. That's different than you've ever seen before. That's where you take one function, f of x, and another function, g of x, and you make the one function eat the other function. I want you to think of it this way. So imagine you had an alligator, and the alligator has had a good day, and he got a great big fish. The alligator has a fish inside of him. You ate the fish, okay? Could be an old lady if it's Florida. Never know. Whatever you ate. I've actually had that. I don't think usually the alligator eats the old person, but you can look it up. In this town where I vacationed like 4 times when I was a kid, Inglewood, Florida, there's these old people just walking along by a pond, and all of a sudden the alligator will run out and grab them. It's terrifying. A lot of times they're like walking a little arf arf dog, you know, and then they'll go for the dog, settle for the old person. Anyways, so this alligator just ate a fish. Now, what if an even bigger alligator eats the first alligator? We'll make him red. Now all of a sudden, you've got a huge alligator that has eaten an alligator which ate a fish. I want you to think about how that could happen, except it could be a fish, eating another fish in the ocean. I bet you today, before you got to school today, a little tiny fish got eaten by a bigger fish, got eaten by a bigger fish, which got eaten by a bigger fish. All in one day, all in one morning. It happens all the time. Okay, so this is the math representation of that. A function eats another function, f of g of x. So let's actually see how that would look on a typical problem. So let's make f of x, everybody write this down please. F of x is going to be x squared plus 2, and g of x is just going to be 3x. Oops, I just did that wrong. G of x is going to be 3x. So how do you start this? You always start on the inside. Always go to the inside. Like if you have a problem that has parentheses, don't you go inside the parentheses? Like that's how you start, right? Parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, add, subtract, the p in PEMDAS. So we're going to start right here. And what is g of x? It says so right on the screen. What is g of x? What is it? Say it. 3x. So we cross this off and we put a 3x here. Do you get now we are feeding a 3x to our f alligator? All right, so we're going to toss the f alligator a 3x, and he's going to eat it. So I take this f function right here, and he's going to eat a 3x. That goes in wherever there's an x. You put a parentheses there and put a 3x. I can put it here too, and it'll just be saying f of 3x is, it's like a label. And then here's where I really hope you're not going to screw up. Please simplify that and write what the final answer is. We practice this. 2 minutes. All right. 3 squared is 9. 9x squared plus 2. Raise your hand if you had that one right. Awesome. I think if I hadn't done that prior problem, a lot of people would have said 3x squared plus 2. It's 9x squared plus 2. And that's your final answer. And we just did your first problem where one function ate another function. F ate the g function. All right, one more. Let's do p of x is 2x squared, and g of x is going to be 1 over x. Now, can you please figure out what g of p of 3 is. And if you get confused, start with just p of 3. Just do one thing. Can you find and stick 3 into a function? I hope so. Stick 3 into the p function and see what you get. So just focus on p of 3. Stick a 3 in the p function. Here's the p function. So go stick a 3 in there. And if you stick a 3 in there, you're going to get 3 squared is 9 times 2 is 18. Raise your hand if you had 18. Awesome. That goes here now. You just cross this off and you put 18. We just did one part of the problem. And now we move on to the next part. So we did the first part, we got 18, and now what do we do with the 18? You're going to feed it to the G alligator. The G is going to eat an 18. Well, here's the G alligator. And you're going to feed him an 18. The 18 can go here, and the final answer is 1 over 18. Go ahead, 1/18. Sweet, you're getting this. That's the new stuff for today, is that. Honestly, I think some of the old stuff I taught you was harder than this. Math isn't always like, it gets harder every day. It's not like that. The stuff we learned the other day where I'd say like f of 3x minus 1 is equal to 2. Those were really hard, and we're going to practice those again because I think those are way harder than these are. All right. We're going to do one more, though, to make sure you've got this. So what if I asked you to do p of f of x, and I told you that f of x is 10x, and p of x is x squared minus 6. Always start on the inside. Figure out what the inside is. It says f of x. Do you know what f of x is? I do. It's on the board. F of x is 10x, says right here. So I'm going to put a 10x right there. And then the P alligator is going to eat a 10x. Do you know that they've actually found alligators, multiple alligators, that have eaten license plates? Why on earth would you eat a license plate? Can you imagine eating a license plate? They eat license plates. I think they see something shiny and maybe something in their primitive brain triggers like, might be a fish. Like after you took the first chomp, I would be thinking, that doesn't taste like a fish, but just swallow it down. All right, so the P alligator's eating a 10x. So 10x can go right here and right here. And it'd be really easy to think it was 10x squared minus 6, but it's 100x squared minus 6. Because that 10x, I'm going to redo it in white, 10x in here, that 10 has to get squared, so it's 100x squared minus 6. Raise your hand if you had 100x squared minus 6. Cool. All right, so now let's go practice this kind that I said was so nasty, and it is, because we got some review of that. If this was the only problem, you couldn't answer it because I never told you what the f function is. Okay? So let's say that I told you that the f function is represented by this little graph. And for sure, I want to tell you that this little graph goes through the point 3, 5. And I want you to look at this and say, isn't this the y value and this is the x value? And did I ever tell you where the y value was 2 yet? Did I tell you that on the graph where y is 2? I don't see anything with y is 2. So you don't have enough info yet. Because remember, this is where the x goes and this is where the y goes. And I left x be kind of like a mystery. But I told you y is 2. So if I gave you this, f of 5 is 7, do you get it's 5 comma 7? Have you processed that yet? Have you learned that? Cool. So we need f of something to be 2, but that means the y has to be 2. See? So I have to give you a point where y is 2. So I'm going to give you this point where y is 2. We'll make the line go like this. And it goes through this key point right there of 1 comma 2. Now you can solve it. This is not the new stuff. This is the stuff from Friday, which these are the hardest kind. Typically only 3 or 4 kids in the room would get it. But now I'm hoping with a little bit of coaching there. Did you get that I just said effectively that f of 1 is 2? See the point 1 comma 2? That's what that means. F of 1 is 2. So now you just have to make one last little leap. That this must equal this. If f of 1 is 2, and f of 3x minus 1 is 2, if they're both equal to 2, then 1 must be equal to 3x minus 1. The two things I circled in green there, 1 must be equal to 3x minus 1. And if I add 1 to both sides, it'll be 2 equals 3x. And if I divide by 3, I now have 2/3. Who had 2/3 before I said it? Excellent. That was difficult, I know. All right, remember this other point, 3 comma 5? I'll use it for the next problem. We'll practice this, because again, I know how hard these are. By the time we take the test, I bet you we'll have an A- average on the test. But we're not ready for the test yet, that's for sure. Several days more. So do you see that 3 comma 5 is on the chart? We good with that? Okay, so what if I said f of 9x is equal to 5? Well, you can write this fact right underneath it. F of something is 5. It's got to be f of something. And what is it? F of what is 5? F of 3 is 5. And as soon as you write that right underneath, well, they both equal 5. So 9x must equal 3. 9x must be 3 because of this. And so then I solve it, divide by 9, and 3/9 is 1/3. Who had 1/3 before I said it? Nice. Okay, awesome. So, these are not super easy today. But the cool part is, it's a worksheet. It's nice to get off your iPad, and actually I feel like usually kids enjoy a break from their iPad. Do it on paper. And number 2, you're going to have a partner. You're going to work with the partner on every single problem. And many groups finished the entire worksheet themselves in class, and they walked out with no homework today. All right, so we're going to practice one more, and then I'm going to assign you this partner, and have you sitting right next to each other, like sliding the desks really close to each other, and we'll have a really good work hour, and you probably walk out of here today with no homework. All right, so last one. F of x 4x minus 5. G of x, x squared plus 2. Now, this is just a remember for a second. Don't write this next thing down. What if I just said f of x was 20? Do you get that doesn't involve the red one at all? It just doesn't even, it's not talking about the red one, it's talking about the blue one. If f of x was 20, would you get that you could just put a 20 here and solve it? You know what I mean? Okay, good. Let's not even do one like that then. All right, so I'm going to say, what's g of f of x? Not equal to 20, just g of f of x. The g alligator is going to eat the f alligator. Alligators are carnivore. No, it's not that. What's it called when you eat your own kind? Not carnivore. What is that? What? Cannibalistic. That's the word I was looking for. Yes. So the G alligator is going to eat the F alligator. So start on the inside. You know what f of x is. So you just cross it off and put what it is. And then you make the G alligator eat the F alligator. One year at Minnetonka Middle School West, we had a science teacher who was crazy enough to want to, the ability to stream things live had just happened. And this science teacher decided it would be cool to be able to go down the Amazon in a kayak and live stream every day what it was like, so that his students were watching him in a kayak going down the Amazon River where all these huge alligators are. Actually, those are crocodiles. I get them confused sometimes. So it made me think of this lesson. Can you imagine being in a kayak where something could like knock you out and just eat you? There are some that are so big that, yeah, you're a legit like meal. So thankfully he came back alive, and his name is Joe Walker, and he is the principal now at one of the elementary schools. So if you know him, you should tell him, I heard that you went down the Amazon. It's true. I was at that school when he did it. Okay, so f of x is 4x minus 5. And that goes right here, 4x minus 5. Now the g function eats that. Here's my g function. I like to think of this as where his stomach would be, because that's, if he eats anything, it would go in there. And what did he eat? He ate a 4x minus 5, see? He ate a 4x minus 5. But did you just leave it like this? That would be wrong on so many levels. It isn't minus 25, it would be plus 25, and it's also not 4x squared, it would be 16. And did you remember from the early part of the hour that that's even wrong? That it's actually 4x minus 5 and 4x minus 5? That's what that really means. 4x minus 5 with another 4x minus 5, and then the plus 2 at the very end. Yeah, you have to multiply that all out. It's almost like you're in an honors algebra class or something. Okay, 16x squared, and then minus 20x, and then another minus 20x, and then a positive 25, and then I bring down the plus 2. 16x squared minus 40x plus 27. Did anybody actually get all the way to the perfect final answer? Quite a few of you. All right, cool. That's difficult. I get it. There's a lot of little algebra you have to know. There's like the idea of one function consuming another function. That's called composition of functions. A composite tennis racket is made up of two metals. A composite function is made up of two functions. All right. So now you'll be able to practice this, and I'm going to be giving you that partner, and then I'm going to be giving you a worksheet. The thing is, I got to run down to my math office and get the worksheet. So I'm going to put up what I think is 3 easy Silver 20 questions. And I want you to just try these and then compare your answer to the kid sitting next to you, the one that's I always pair you with. Because we cannot get too good. You've got to be real good at these things. Number 1 is solve. Number 2 and 3 are both just simplify. Okay? Pause for a second. Go grab those worksheets, and then I'll tell you what the answers were. You should talk to the kid next to you as soon as you're both done. All right, take 2 seconds and see if you got the 3 problems off the board, the ones that are supposedly algebra you used to know. This one you should have said, x plus 3 is 7, and so that's x equals 4. And the other way you do it is you say x plus 3 is negative 7, and so that one comes out to x equals negative 10. I'm curious, how many of you had your absolute value right? Not that many. Okay, that's an algebra basic that you used to know and you need to know. So, on to number 2. The algebra basic of dividing fractions is really 3/4 times 9/4. Notice I flipped this over. Now it's just 27 over 16, and that's it. I'm done. You don't have to make it into a mixed number. And last but not least is this one, the Silver 20. 5/10 reduces to 1/2. The x to the third and the x to the fifth, it's like this. And 3 of them will cancel, leaving just x squared on the bottom. Same kind of thing happens with y. There's 1 y on the top and 4 y's on the bottom. In my opinion, this is the best way to show you how to get that answer. And the final answer is 1 on the top and 2x squared y to the third on the bottom. Those algebra skills are critical. Take the time, learn them now. All right, now we have a worksheet, and that worksheet is due tomorrow. Many of you are going to finish it in class. If you have questions, I will answer it, but only if both of you are stuck on that problem. If you both need help, that's the point of having a partner, is you talk to them first. If you both don't get it, I will come over and explain it to both of you.